have tried journaling in various forms over my years. And if you're interested in the story of that, you can check out my Substack. You can find it at jillfromthenorthwoods.com. But I tried different formats, and none of them really quite worked the way I wanted it to work. And recently realizing that my problem hasn't been journaling itself. My problem is that most journals don't speak back to you, and they don't give you any sort of overlook. You've talked a lot about how much this is stressing you out. Did you notice that that kind of thing? But now we're getting into this position where AI can help us review our journals and look at it more holistically, find out like main theme lines that are going on. But one of the problems I found, when looking at other people's journals is most of them have rather strong opinions about what I should be thinking about. So I have been using Notion, which is a notebook app, for years. And I've been using, and this is a really great system. I'm not saying anything bad with it. It's called Better Creating. And he makes a fantastic journal system. It's beautiful. It's functional. It does everything that I wanted it to do. And I realized that in most of the cases, the templates itself, there's a lot of different things out there, like weekly reflections, gratitude, dealing with stress, big life questions, and thinking through difficult situation, all good journal things, right? And there's nothing seriously wrong with the journal. It's fantastic as it is. So I love this journal, and I've been trying to use it for a while now. But some of the prompts that were existing inside of there just didn't feel like me. And so what I could have done is I could have just decided the system isn't for me. I could have just used the parts I liked and ignored the parts that I didn't like, which is fine. Absolutely. You don't have to open up every single feature that it has and use it. But what I started doing instead is I started using AI to make this journal more into what is interesting to me and more the ways I hoped to use it. AI has been fantastic about this because I'm asking AI to help me figure out not how to journal, but how do I make this journal like me? And so part of the issue comes up is that I showed GPT the templates, the structure of it, because there is a MCP connection that connects Notion to ChatGPT. One exists for Claude too. The one in Claude actually feels a little bit more powerful. Also, there is a Notion AI, which you can pay for, and it'll do those types of things as well. So you don't have to pick a particular product there. But one of the things that I was articulating to it last night is that many of the self-improvement exercises were great. They're designed to help me sit down and deliberately work through stress or goals or problems that I'm having. The problem was it's not how I work. Not everything in there was how I work, which obviously, like I said, the fellow who builds a Better Creating and the Life OS Notion notebook, he's writing something, to be that he found helpful and making it generic so lots of people will find it helpful. But I really wanted to record some things that were more like me, things that were rattling around in my own head, document things that go through my life. And I wanted to figure out how to make this notebook more like something I wanted to do. So I went to AI and I said, I love this template, and I do, but I want it to help me figure out the things I'm trying to figure out. I want it to help me remember some of the things that I'm really trying to remember. And sometimes I just want to record some strange path I went down, something that I should have been doing, and somehow I ended up in a rabbit hole somewhere completely unrelated. And once I started recognizing through AI as it was going through this journal, it was basically indicating to me, this doesn't really seem like a you thing. This is not really your path, or you don't really do this. And then what we started to do is build the journal around the way I actually think. And so we started creating new templates inside of the system. I created one called Field Notes and Adventure Day. I have a lot of outdoor adventure days, and I wanted it to ask deeper questions about why this outing was so important to me. It asked me where I went, what I noticed, what surprised me, what did I learn during this day, and what do I want to remember about this day 5 years from now. That felt natural to me. I was ready now to observe the world in the way I observe it. We started even thinking about a new template called Thinking Out Loud. because my brain is all over the place at times. And sometimes I just want to be able to get these ideas I have out of my head and what's taking up space in my head. What can I get down into this journal and get it out of my head for now so I could look at it some other time? What kind of assumptions am I making? What do I know? What don't I know about what it is I need to do? And what do I actually need to do to get traction on this project? And so one of the last questions I worked on took a little bit of thinking, but we created in this Notion notebook something called Crossroads, which was me basically sitting at a crossroads of options. I don't know which thing to do right now. This option looks good. This option will cost me this other thing. I'm afraid of that option. I'm not sure what's going to be there. And so it will help me get my ideas out about what I hope will happen and why do I think that that option has anything really good to offer me. And then if I took that option, is there anything that's irreversible in it? So I like these ideas because we all have a tendency to treat decisions as permanent declarations when sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're just simple experiments. And sometimes we don't have to decide what it looks like. Sometimes we do. And so this new template will help me tease that out a little bit more. So I created some more with ChatGPT. I created a template called I Tried Something. I tried a little experiment in my life. How did it go? What did I try? Why did it work? Why didn't it work? What did I learn from it? And if I were to do it again, what would I change up the next time? So basically, I have given myself these abilities where I can start looking at the things like I said, I like to make room for in my own life. Then there were several other templates that I created. An opportunity appeared. If you looked at my last Substack article, I talked about how I've been the person who takes opportunities when I have them. When I had to travel to New York for work, I went to Broadway shows. When I went to Hawaii for work, I learned how to surf. I'm a good person about taking opportunities. So now I have a place to record these opportunities as they come up. What did I do? What was interesting about it? Did I learn something interesting about myself? How did this thing just appear to me? And so I could just remember that I had a really good opportunity and this is what I did with it. So the template in the end of with the opportunity will get more clearly about why I said yes to this thing, or maybe I said no to it. What were the realistic downsides? What were the potential upsides? And why is it that I eventually came to this? Was it going to be too big of an obligation? Is there a way I could have tested it to make it a smaller obligation? So that's the way it is. And it feels wonderful to have these kinds of questions to ask you in a journal. If I say no to this opportunity, will I feel relieved or disappointed? And that answer can tell me more than any sort of spreadsheet or regular journal could tell me. I made one for course corrections. So when I need to go and fix something that's going on in my life, I don't have to reinvent myself every single day, but sometimes we start seeing ourselves going down a path and we don't want to do. And then, of course, I made my favorite one, and this is, I called it the Squirrel Hole, which is just a rabbit hole. But the rabbit hole begins with, what was I supposed to be doing today? And then what happened? What went wrong? Did I get off on the wrong track? How did I end up here? But did I discover something? Was the rabbit hole worthwhile doing? And so was it an excellent use of time or was it just ridiculous? And it's kind of a interesting path, I guess, about how often I get off track. And it's usually a mental thing. Like I'm suddenly going, well, wait a minute, what about this, right? And so I follow that curiosity down to that thread. And sometimes it pays off and sometimes it really doesn't. So now I'm able to keep these rabbit holes straight. So building a record of life, not just problems, but a day worth memorying. That was another template I created. What happened? What stand out? What made me laugh? After an adventure, after I had a big outdoor adventure, what did I remember? So yesterday, my friend and I went out on a big outdoor adventure. And the thing that struck me about it, and we were talking about on the way home, was before the pandemic, she and I used to go shopping and run errands in town. And now we don't do that anymore. We go on adventures. Every Saturday, we go on adventures. And that's, to me, a very positive change in our relationship, that we're not spending times in stores, that we're not just getting something checked off of a list. We're actually doing something that's about discovery and learning something about the outdoor world, and that's something I really appreciate. I didn't realize that our Saturdays had changed so much. I now created a snapshot of my life, and then I can ask questions like, if someone asked what this season of my life was about, what would I say? Imagine having those answers, over the course of time. That was makes a journal so much more valuable to it. So I'm building an archive. I'm building a message to the future me. I'm looking at life of how I thought it looked like today. We don't know what the life will look like in our future. We have no idea. But someday future Jill will get to look at this and see what past Jill was really thinking about and what I realized. This whole pathway of it is really about human beings just trying to understand how horribly good we are or horribly bad at we are at predicting the futures, what we thought about things at that particular time. And this will help us create this particular piece. The last area I looked at is I created what is called Odyssey Planning. And Odyssey Planning it comes from a book, Life by Design, which is a fantastic book if you've never read it. But it's about how to design your life. And so what I did is Odyssey Planning would be something like, if Jill becomes a successful content creator, what will my life look like? Public speaking, writing books, and creating things. But if I didn't, if I dropped the whole thing and just went back to what it was I was doing, what does that life look like? Or if Jill maintains her health, keeps the weight off, because you might not know this, I just lost a tremendous amount of weight. If I keep that off, if I keep healthy, what will my life look like? But if I don't, what will my life look like? And so instead of just having this Odyssey planning of what these future lives might look like, now let's have a check-in. How are we doing? How are we doing on our Odyssey lives? So that was probably one of the favorite templates that I made mostly. So these are all kind of fun pieces of it. And like I said, now this journal looks like myself. I also had the journal create some new relationships inside of the database. I'm not a database programmer, and you don't have to be to use Notion. I don't want to scare you away with it. It's very user friendly, but I wanted to be able to join some things together, and I didn't know how to do that. So in Notion AI, I asked it, could you create some new fields that tie into some other places? Because this Notion notebook has some really good metrics about how good am I at my habits? How invested am I in this and that? But it also had this whole area of a budget. I'm not going to keep my budget in my journal. So I wanted that removed from the system. So using Notion AI, I was able to actually create the database that I was looking at. Then I went in and had Notion AI. I gave it the habits that I want to track, and they're very funny ones because I started to ask ChatGPT, what kind of habits should I be tracking? Because, most people, oh, did I have gratitude today? Did I exercise today? Did I journal today? Those are some pretty standard habit tracking types of things, but I wanted these to fit me. And so ChatGPT, because I've been using it now for almost a year, knew me pretty well, and it came up with some really good out of the ordinary, I guess, ways for me to track habits. Did I go to bed on time? There's my big challenge. I like to stay up late and get things done. And did I wind down? I am not a wind down person. I just keep going and going and going right up to bedtime, and I'm trying to stop that. Another habit to track. So that was kind of fun too. Now this journal really looks like me. Gave it some graphics, made it look like my life, made it very comfortable and friendly for me, put in some plugins. All very easy to do, but now the notebook passes around. Now, I don't know if you're my age, but there was something when I was a kid called a slam book. And it was something that you passed around a school bus, and then you would write like who you had a crush on, or what was your favorite food, or what's your favorite thing to do after school. And so I asked ChatGPT, what would a modern day slam book for a grown-up adult look like? And that's what it did, is it created some very fun questions for me. My favorite book, my favorite place to just have some peace and quiet. What's wildly underrated in my life? Or what is something that I'm just doing right now that is just so foolish, I guess, right now, but I still love doing it? Just silly questions. The idea that there are real choices out there that just don't have any impact, but are kind of fun to record. So this has just been kind of a new fun thing for me. And building this database, like I said, I don't like calling it a database because it sounds more severe than that. But now creating this journal for myself, now creating this habit tracker for myself. This is also where my projects are going to live in, my bigger projects that I don't yet have scheduled. I'm planning on putting a porch in my backyard. I'm planning on taking a trip someday or to somewhere across the world, having some kind of adventure. Those kinds of big projects go into this journaling app that will be able to manage me tracking some larger projects, like I said, that are not yet scheduled in my life. But it's going to help organize and clarify what my actual goals are. And it's not for me, like I said, to turn in every task that I have into some sort of domestic uh, tracking system, checklist, anything like that. When I got this journal, the idea is that I wanted it to analyze, I wanted it to look at big overarching pieces of it. And so now, because Claude, ChatGPT, and Notion AI are all connected to this particular journal, I can ask it some real life human questions. Hey, are there any trends that you noticed in my past year of me journaling? Is there anything that I've been complaining about consistently that I could do something about? Is there anything that you notice that might help me to be more healthy in this next year? I can use it on a weekly, quarterly, or annual review of that. I can notice the things that I have done well in my habit tracking and some areas where I could use a little bit more love. So this is really the journal that I needed all along, because now it is no longer me just recording, dear diary, that kind of thing. It is now um, a notebook that I can record, a field book. I called it my almanac, if you remember what almanacs are, where my natural observations go. But I mean, it's not my natural observations of nature, it's my natural observations of me as a species. But now, because AI was able to recreate it, was able to make it more like my own. Then we found the name almanac for it because almanacs can contain observations, seasons, useful information, predictions, oddities, records. That's exactly what it is for me. So now it's called my Northwoods Almanac. And this is about AI not writing a journal for me or telling me who I am, but me telling it who I am. And it doesn't really matter what happened today. It doesn't really decide what matters to me today. AI doesn't. Instead, what it's doing is it's helping me look at the overall picture. How many great experiences did I have in a hike? How many things did I get excited about? Did I notice a new bird? Did I take a new opportunity? Am I worried about something in the future? And now it'll be able to summarize it for me. I put in specific fields that are AI generated for summaries. So it'll be able to summarize my day, my week, my year. And now AI is being able to help me design this better, being able to help me reflect on it better. And when a prompt doesn't, fit me or something else has come up, I can use AI right inside this journal to help me do a little bit better in actually articulating what it is I actually want to know. I can even have AI ask me questions based on my journal entry. Ask me 10 questions that if you were, my best friend and you were going to ask me questions, ask me some questions about it. Ask me what I'm thinking, right? A blank page just kind of sits there. A traditional journal doesn't really ask the author any questions, but AI can have that effect. It can ask me questions about what was really important to me today, what turned out much more interesting than I ever thought that it could be. A journal that I bought already, which, like I said, was a very capable piece of software and didn't need anything with it. But with AI, I was able to make it less complex, more my own life, more well-designed to me. And now it's about my field notes, my adventures, my decisions, my experiments, predictions, possible futures, creator notes, rabbit holes, serious questions, ridiculous questions, and it records what I'm trying to build. And it leaves the messages for a future Jill preserved there, but AI then can help me analyze it, and future Jill will be able to look back at it and say, look what I thought way back in this year. So journals itself, they don't always have to give an answer. Sometimes it's some of the quieter things that you didn't even notice about yourself. But it's about building a better place. And that's what this new journal is doing for me. Hey, if you have any experience with AI journaling or something that you're trying to build, but you can't quite figure out how to get there, put a comment right here on the channel if you're watching this on video, or you can email me at northwoodsjill@fastmail.com. You can find everything I do at jillfromthenorthwoods.com and every way to contact me. I would love to hear what kind of things you're doing. And like I said, my Substack, I wrote about 4 articles about my history of journaling and why each step has not been the right step for me, and I believe this one is. Thanks so much. Can't wait to see you next time.